Gazette 501 on the 19th of November 2021 are hereby repaired. So which means all those the regulations that have been made in 2021 have been repaired by these new regulations that were signed. 19th of November 2021 are hereby this year. So which means all those the regulated transactions that have been made in 2021 have been repaired by this new publish a list of the valid transaction types codes mentioned in sub-regulation 2 on its website, which may be revised from time to time according to the requirements of council. 4 stock speaks about payments that cannot be correctly allocated because of failure to comply with sub-regulation 2, which will be regarded as not received in time if there is a deadline by which payment is due. For example, for 2024-2025, the financial year, your annual fee must be paid on or before the 1st of January 2024. If not, this will be regarded as late payment or payment not made in time. A payment contemplated in sub-regulation 4 shall be kept in a separate account until such time the person who made the payment is identified for a period not exceeding 3 years, whereafter the fee will be regarded as unallocated and recognized as other income in relation to the operations of council. So if you are making payment into council's bank account and you are not using the correct reference number, this regulation is saying that that payment shall be kept for a period not exceeding 3 years, where council will make an effort to look for you to try and allocate this amount and see who actually paid this amount. But after 3 years, when the amount has not been allocated, the person paying the amount has not been found, this money will be regarded as unallocated and will be used now for operations of council. So this now you see how important it is to make sure that when you make payments, you use the correct reference number. So for government officials, it has become a little bit easier because of the resolution that was passed by bargaining council for the employer to make the payments on behalf of the employees, all the social workers and child and youth care workers who are employed by DSD. It is the bargaining council resolution that was made. It has made it easier because it has taken the responsibility of the practitioners, and it has put it on the employer to make sure that each and every year they deduct the money from PERSAL, from the registrar, and they pay it directly into the account of council. But there are also NGOs who are doing this from private, from NGO sectors. There are also NGOs who are doing this, paying on behalf of the registrants. But there are registrants also who are doing this entirely independently on their own. So if you are paying out of your pocket and you are paying it, make sure that you use the correct reference number so that the payment can be allocated to your name. Note the following facilities for the payment of your annual fees into the council's account. You can make payment directly at any branch of Nedbank. So for individuals, kindly ensure that you use your practice number as your reference number on your deposit slip. For the employers, who are your NGOs and so on, who are employing SSPs, employers must provide council with a detailed list containing the names, registration numbers, and the amounts paid in respect of each person. Failure to comply with this requirement could lead to the wrong allocation of funds. So if you are an employer and you have 5 or 10 people employed, social workers and child and youth care workers in your organization, and you are making bulk payment, please ensure that you connect and you send you email a list with detailed names of the people you are paying for, their registration numbers, and the amount that you are paying for each one, and the big amount, the big total that you have deposited into council bank account. Number two, there's electronic and internet payments that can be done. Individuals, again, kindly ensure that you use your practice number as your reference number if you are paying for yourselves and you're using internet payments. Payments directly at SSP offices. Employers must provide SACSSP with a detailed list containing the names, registration numbers, and amounts paid in respect of each person. Again, failure will means that allocations, the monies will not be allocated to the right person. Please note that at council, they do not accept any cash at the office. There are, however, I think there are speed points, if I'm correct, that I have seen at council at the office, but this will be corrected by the administrator at office. But I remember seeing speed points being used there by people who came in to make payments. And the details of the account are there on the slides. Please take pictures, write down, so that we ensure that we use the correct banking details when we make payments into the net bank account. There are also payments that can be made through SAGE, debit credit cards, by scanning their QR methods that we can use as well by scanning our QR codes that are indicated on the invoice. This can also be presented at any South African Post Office, ShopRite, Checkers, House and Home, OK Furniture, or even at USafe stores. So you can make these payments at all those kind of places. For students, institutions should provide SACSSP with a detailed list of the bulk payments containing the full names, ID numbers, and amounts paid in respect of each student. Failure to comply with this requirement could lead to the wrong allocation of funds. Now, this slide speaks to consequences for failure to pay the annual fees, colleagues. We need to ensure that there will be consequences for failure to pay our annual fees, especially to pay them on time. Section 20 of the Act speaks about removal from, rectification, and restoration of registers of names. The council may order the registrar to remove the name of any person from the register concerned if the council is satisfied that this person has failed to pay any money which he or she owes to council within the 3 months, 90 days period after the date upon which it has become payable. So this means that on the 1st of January, that is the closing date, that is the last date of the fees that are payable. Then after that, colleagues have 90 days to ensure that they pay their amount. And this 90 date expires on the 31st of March. Now, on the 1st of April, when it dawns and your payment has not come through, your payment would be regarded as none paid. So which means that your name will be legible to be removed away from council, from the register. And then the registrar will inform council, and the registrar will inform council that these are all the names of the people who, after the 90 days, we have not received payments against their names or for them. So which means they are legible to be removed from the register so that they cannot continue practicing for that financial year. So the name of a person who fails to pay money owed to council, which is your annual fees by the 1st of January, may be removed from the register after 90 days, counting from the 2nd of January. This removal is subject to Council's order or resolution. Regulations 4.2 of the regulations regarding the registration of social workers. The certificate of registration is deemed to have been withdrawn from the date the name of the holder thereof was removed from the register. So if your name is removed from the register, your registration certificate also becomes invalid. Section 20.1a of the Act provides that notice of removal of a person's name from the register by virtue of provisions of any one of paragraphs B to H of subsection 1 shall be given by the registrar to the person concerned by registered letter sent through the post to his address. So you shall be informed of this intention of council to remove your name from the register. Section 16 of the Act, which speaks to offences and penalty. Any person who contravenes any provisions of Section 15.1 shall be guilty of an offence and on conviction shall be liable to a fine, colleagues, or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 6 months. We continue with consequences for failure. Rules relating to the acts or omissions of a social worker, a social auxiliary worker, or a student auxiliary worker, which shall be constituted as unprofessional or improper conduct, which will be behavior that are detrimental to the profession. Rule number 3, on the acts or omissions of a social worker which shall be deemed to be detrimental to the profession and constitute unprofessional conduct. Paragraph 9 speaks to the employment of any person as a social worker, a student social worker, or an auxiliary social worker, knowing that such person has not been registered in terms of the Act. That is regarded as unprofessional and improper conduct. Rules relating to the acts or omission of child and youth care workers at a professional auxiliary levels which shall constitute unprofessional or improper conduct. Behavior detrimental to the profession. Rule number 4, acts or omissions of a child and youth care worker which are detrimental to the profession and constitute unprofessional or improper conduct. Again, employing a child and youth care worker, a person as a child and youth care worker, or a student child and youth care worker, knowing that such a person is not registered in terms of the Act, makes up for improper conduct and is detrimental to the profession. Rule 7, if you're employing a person who is not registered in terms of this Act, that speaks to improper conduct and unprofessional as well. Recourse for a person whose name was removed from the register. So if for whatever reason your name has been removed from the register, what recourse do you have? Now this you will see when you look at your regulations. You will see that section 20, paragraph D speaks to the removal. On section 20.3, this provides that if the council is satisfied that the reason why any person's name had ceased to exist and that he or she satisfies the requirement for registration in terms of this Act, the council may, on application made in the prescribed manner by such a person, and after payment of the prescribed fee, the council may order that his or her name be restored back to the register from which it was removed. So which means one of the recourse that we have is to apply for restoration, is to apply for our name to be put back, but we need to ensure that we use the prescribed manner, and the payments are also accompanied in terms of that. Now, section 25 speaks to appeal against refusal. because there might be situations where you apply, maybe your name was suspended from the register, and after the suspension period, you apply for your names to be restored onto the register again. And once your application is presented to the panel, and there is not sufficient evidence of your rehabilitation, maybe for example, then Section 25 give that panel authority to be able to refuse your appeal, penalty, or to removal from the register altogether. So there is a possibility that you can appeal once there has been refusal from your application. Now, this slide speaks to roles and responsibilities of us as social service professionals, and the responsibilities and the roles of employers according to this Act. For us as SSPs, our roles and responsibilities are to comply with this Act, to comply with the rules and regulations of that are aligned to or accompanied on this Act. We need to ensure that we know what this Act is. We need to understand the regulations, and we need to ensure that we comply at all costs, at any means, by this. For the employers, the roles and responsibilities will be that to implement the Act, the rules and the regulations. They need to implement. They need to ensure that they implement the Act at all costs. Take necessary steps in terms of the Labor Relations Act against SSPs who refuse or fail to comply with the Act, rules and regulations, and report these names to council. So which means that the employers have the responsibility also to enforce also this Act as well, to ensure that all the people who are employed by them are registered. If there is, they ensure that they hold the SSPs who are employed under them to a code of conduct, to a code of ethics, and if by any, if there's any improper or unethical conduct from the SSPs, they need to report this cases to council as well, so that council also uses also their processes against these SSPs. So this will be the end of the presentation. Let me again take this opportunity to thank and hope that we have made notes for our question and answer sessions that will follow. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lucky Jacobs. I believe the SSPs managed to grasp the information that was shared on the presentation. I would also like to acknowledge the attendance of those who joined us during the course of the presentation. You are welcomed. And just to share briefly with you what you might have missed during the beginning of the session, Mr. Hitler Sikitla, our acting registrar, just highlighted the purpose of the webinar. And the purpose of the webinar is to educate social service professionals regarding the regulations on fees payable at SACSSPs, and also to impart knowledge on the processes, or rather the procedures that needs to follow in terms of fees payable by SSPs. And during the presentation, the mandate was shared of SACSSP, and the structure of the council was outlined during the presentation. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have, or any clarity-seeking questions that you might have. I'm not sure if Registrar wants to say something before I open for the questions. Registrar, would you like to come in before I open for questions, or should I move along with the program?
And thanks, Program Director. If we just to allow, and thanks to Mr. Jacobs for a clear presentation. And we really appreciate that, Mr. Jacobs, just to moderate one or two issues in relation to the presentation. On the slide on the date of on or before 1st January of every year. So this provision of on or 1st of January every year, it's only applicable to the payment of the annual fee. So which means that on or before January every year, all social service professionals should pay the annual fee. And the issue of the 90 days period is only applicable to those who fail to pay their annual fee on or before the 1st of January. However, when you calculate the 90 days period, you calculate it from the 2nd of January each year. And if you calculate, basically it's 3 months. And if you calculate the 3 months or the 90 days period from the 2nd of January, it overlaps into April. I think it's the 2nd or the 3rd of April. So that's why we are saying the issue of the 31st of March is no longer applicable, because the 90 days period, if you calculate from you don't calculate from the date on which is the last date of payment, you calculate from the day after the date on which the money is due or payable to council. So you calculate from the 2nd of January. So the 31st of March is no longer applicable. Hence, we say it is there and it serves a different purpose, which is the end of the financial year. Now, the other issue in relation to the speed point. So we can confirm that the speed point in the office is functional. The only issue that we do not take is that we do not take cash in the office. However, the speed point is functional. The issue in relation to the payment of the annual fees by the employees or social service professionals employed by the Department of Social Development in terms of Resolution 3 of 2019, which was concluded in the Public Health and Social Development Bargaining Council. That collective agreement is also applicable to social service professionals employed in the Provincial Department of Health and the National Department of Health. So it's both social development and health. So you do not have colleagues to pay the annual fee directly to council. The Department of Social Development and the Department of Health will take responsibility for the deduction from your salary through PESA and pay those monies to council. And they are planning to do that process by October, November. So hopefully this year the system will improve and we ensure that all monies have been paid to council. So also councils also in the process of verifying, working together with the department to verify the list that we've received from the provinces. However, on this one, we are encouraging social service professionals that it might happen that employer might omit your name by mistake because due to administrative errors. If you see by end of October or by end of November, you hear that your other colleagues, the deduction has been effected, but yours has not been effected, you are more than welcome to engage your employer and just to check so that you don't get to be affected, because our assumption it will be that because we don't have on our register the database in terms of your employment status. So if your employer did not effect the deduction, we'll assume that you did not pay until such time that the errors have been corrected. But the principle is that if you hear other colleagues that the deductions have been effected from employer side, but nothing happened on your side, please engage your employer so that they can correct that particular omission. The other issue is in relation to, while we're still on the collective bargaining agreement resolution, is that the our colleagues who are occupying senior managerial posts in the Department of Health and Social Development, and they are not sure as to whether they are supposed to pay the annual fee or not. The principle is that, one, if your post require registration with council, you are obliged to register with council and pay the prescribed fee, including the annual fee. Therefore, the deduction as far as the collective bargaining resolution is applicable to you, you need to pay and plan is to effect the deduction. However, there are other colleagues who are working throughout all the sectors, in particular in the health and social development. However, they do not occupy positions which require registration with council. However, they still want to be recognized with the statutory body and continue to pay the annual fee. The unfortunate part is that a collective agreement does not cover you. Therefore, you'll have to pay on your own individually, so that you probably also apply for what you call exemption, partial exemption. You can qualify for partial exemption and only pay 50% of the annual fee. So we just wanted to clarify those issues, Program Director. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Acting Registrar. Moving along with our program, we are on item number 6 in our program, which is questions and answer session. So I'm going to request you, SSPs, to kindly raise your hand when you want to pose a question, be it you need a clarity-seeking question or you need an information regarding the presentation that was shared. Kindly raise your hand, and we'll be also noting those who can use the chat bar. You can just type in your question in there. We will attend to it. We will start off by just taking the first 3 hands and give the registrar or the SACSSP staff members to engage with you. Thank you. Over to you, SSPs. Let's see the hands and let's see the chat bar for questions. Thank you, Dr. Benita. We see your hand. You can pose your question on the podium.
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Benita Nel. We can hear you. You can continue with your question.
Thank you for this informative session. I've got one question which I was not able to clarify for myself from the presentation, and please tell me if it's not relevant. But it regards unethical and professional behavior when we have social workers that gives us 24 hours notice the day after payday. The process that we follow to inform the council of this unprofessional behavior without having any client being cancelled or closed off or handed over. Do you have any guidance on that, please?
Okay, Acting Registrar, can you be able to come in and answer that question, please?
No problem, Program Director, but I suggest we take at least 5 hands. Then we deal with the questions, then go to the second round of questions. Thanks. In the meantime, while we are waiting for the sector to raise questions or clarity-seeking questions or comments. I'll address the Dr. Benita questions. I think it's a concern in relation to social service professionals who gives a short notice short notice resignation. Does that constitute unprofessional or improper conduct? It depends. It depends. Johnson, kindly mute your mic. Coordinators, kindly mute Johnson's mic. Thanks very much. I was saying the issue of social service professionals giving a short notice on resignations as to whether it constitutes unprofessional or improper conduct, it depends on the circumstances. Firstly, it's in relation to the employer's policy, but the Code of Ethics provides that the social service professionals must do a proper termination of service with his or her client. So the question is whether that social service professionals has properly terminated her or his working relationship with clients. That's the first question that we need to answer. And the question of the short notice is within the context of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act and also employers as policy, and also the contract of employment that would have signed, the parties would have signed, that is the social worker and the employer. So if you do not, your policy or your agreement does not make provision for short notice termination of employment, you will apply the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. That's how it's supposed to work. But on the issue of the termination of the working relationship, the social worker must satisfy the employer or counsel as to whether she did the proper termination of the working relationship, because it will also depend on the number of case files that social worker had at the time of the termination. So that's the reason why I'm saying it depends. But recently we've observed a challenge where most social service professionals, in particular social workers who are migrating from the NPO sector to the public sector, in particular to SAPS and also to the Department of Social Development in the main. These are most of the social workers who were studying under the DSD scholarship or government scholarship. Now the challenge there is with regard to these respective departments, who they are calling those social workers just a week or 2 days to say, if you do not come to start tomorrow, or next week, we are going to allocate this particular post to someone else. So these social service professionals, they become desperate now to say, but at the NPO, I'm earning 4,000 or 6,000. At the department, it's around 10,000, 15,000. What do I do? So is the department or the employers of social service professionals, in particular social development and SAPS, that are putting these social service professionals in a predicament as to that, do I leave or do I stay? So that's part of the challenge. So when we do an investigation of that nature, we look at the circumstances under which that particular social service professional terminated his or her service. So if it's as a result of another employer, and these are the students or social workers who graduated from the what you call, who are studying under the employer's study fees or bursaries and so forth. So we need to engage on that particular matter. But the principle or the general principle is that a social worker must properly terminate her or his working relationship with his clients. So at the time of investigation, Then we do conduct an investigation to determine the circumstances under which that social worker had to resign. So so what I would encourage is that when you come across those particular matters, please refer them to us so that we can investigate them and engage that particular department, because the minute we receive your complaint or your concern, we'll bring it to the attention of that particular social worker to explain or to provide a written explanation. Then based on that explanation, then we will make a determination as to whether there should be a formal investigation by the CPR to be conducted, or it is something that we can address with the department that recruited him or her in the manner that is currently happening. So that's the challenge that council, we are aware of it. So it's just a matter of the department to be organized so that they do not encourage social service professionals to contravene the rules relating to the act of omission and the code of ethics. So I hope I've clarified to Dr. Nell.
Thank you, sir.
Program Director, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Registrar. Colleagues, SSPs, just raise your concerns. Any question you have, just indicate, raise your hand right on the chat bar. I'm seeing one hand here. Raymond, you are on the podium. You can raise your question, and you will be followed by Philippine Mkondo just after you pose a question, Raymond. Over to you, Raymond. Raymond, are you there? Okay, I think we should move to Philippine Mkondo and Raymond. Okay, Raymond is not. Raymond, can you mute yourself? Okay, let's move to Philippine Mkondo. Philippine, go ahead.
Okay, morning, colleagues. Okay, thank you for the informative presentation, but I have a concern pertaining the issue of the receipts, because we pay but we don't get the receipts. And then I'll be talking from my side. I paid around mid-March. Until today, I haven't received my receipt. And then I've been doing follow-ups and then no one is responding. I've tried to call, but no one is picking. So yeah, in fact, I'm struggling because now if I want to apply, they need that receipt. And also, I would like to ask if it's possible to send the receipts via post, because the ones that we receive via emails, when we have to certify, we experience challenges because the police doesn't consider it as an original. So we experience challenges a lot. So I don't know how you plan to help us on this, on that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your question was clear. Registrar, can you come in and assist in answering the question?
Thanks, Program Director. Firstly, we apologize to the colleague that she has paid by mid-March, but so far has not received her practice card. It's not a receipt, colleague. A receipt is something else. We call it a practice card, and she said she made follow-up and no assistance to date. So may I kindly request that you send us your particulars, which I want to believe you have done so far. You can just repeat it for the purpose of practice card and your email address. The it is our endeavor that everyone gets her practice card or his practice card on time. And these are some of the challenges that we experience. One is that the social service professionals pay annual fees late around March, April. As we're speaking right now, colleagues, there are still people who are still paying the annual fee for 2023-2024 financial year, even outside the 90 days period. So they pay mostly around end of March, and it creates a backlog in the office in terms of us processing the payments and allocate the monies accordingly and ensure that colleagues receive their practice card on time. But the other challenge is in relation to colleagues who do not update their contact details and their particulars, in particular the email addresses and also their postal addresses. So we kindly request that colleagues please go online or on our website to update your contact details. But further to that, you may also request we can also do it manually by submitting or requesting a form which you need to complete and send it back to council so that we update your particulars. The third challenge in terms of which is in relation to the posting. We are seriously experiencing a challenge with the post office. You know the challenges at the post office, colleagues, that that service is not effective. So we post letters, practice cards, and so forth, or correspondences with social service professionals, but most or majority of the correspondence that we post, they do not reach our social service professionals. So that's part of the challenge. Now, part of mitigating these challenges is including what I've said, updating your particulars, so that temporarily you can receive your practice card via email while you are waiting for the original one. Now, this is the plea that we want to make, in particular to social service professionals and employers in the NPO sector, to say, can we organize ourselves in addition to what we are doing now, which we really appreciate, so that we can issue bulk practice cards to different employers, so that employers can assist us to distribute those practice cards. So we also want to make the same appeal to the employers in the Department of Social Development and the Department of Health, to say that part of the mechanism that we can put in place is for us, in the meantime, while post offices try to sort itself out, we issue bulk practice cards to employers, and employers take responsibility to distribute the original practice card. But at that time, you should be in possession of your practice card as soon as you pay the annual fee. So, Mem Konto, we apologize for that. We will ensure that we attend to your matter. There are colleagues who are taking notes in this meeting. They will refer your matter to the relevant division to assist you to access your practice card, probably before end of business today. Thanks, Program Director.
Thank you, Acting Registrar. I believe you managed to answer the question of our SSP regarding the practice card, and I'm still having the hand of Mr. Raymond. I'm not sure if he can hear us. Raymond, can you unmute yourself so that you can pose a question?
Hello, can you hear me now?
We can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Mine is on the issue of the payment. We recently had a problem with our department when it comes to the deduction, actual effective of deduction. I think last year we were told that they could not effect the deduction on or before the date that was required. I just want to check that what happened after that. maybe from the 1st of January up until the 1st of March. Are we going to be charged, or we're not going to be charged if the department failed to effect the deduction? I hope you get my question.
Noted, Mr. Raymond. Acting registrar will come in and assist in answering that, or any other SACSSP staff member can also intervene and answer. Thank you.
I'll assist Program Director. May I proceed, Program Director?
Proceed. You can continue, Acting Registrar.
Thanks very much. The question I understand it to be saying are social service professionals who are paying the annual fees through the employer, which is the Department of Health and Department of Social Development, are they going to be penalized in the event that employer did not effect the deduction or did not effect the deduction by the due date? No one will be penalized, colleagues, for the delay by the employer in terms of effecting the deduction or the omissions that might occur in the process of effecting the deduction. But however, I doubt there will be any further delay this year, because part of the challenges where there would have been delays in the previous years, it was because of the regulations at some point were not ready on time, where employers did not know how much to deduct from your salaries and pay same to council. So this year we are having the regulations on time, hence we are doing this particular webinar so that we can sensitize the sector. So we are expecting the employer, in particular the Provincial Department of Social Development, Mpumalanga Provincial Department of Social Development and Health, to effect the deduction around October, latest November 2023, and so that we can be able to do the verification around November, December, and ensure that everyone is covered. So I doubt there will be any challenges as far as the deduction are concerned for this particular year. But in principle, no one will be penalized as a result of the delay or the omission which occur on the employer side. It's just a matter of engaging that relevant employer, working together with you to do the corrections and ensure that ultimately the deductions do take place. Thanks.
Thank you, Acting Registrar. We will move on to Ntladile. Ntladile Mushamunyani, you can raise your concern or your question so that you can be assisted. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much. My question is around the register itself. I registered online, I think a year ago. So when I checked the register, even this morning, I still only appear as a social auxiliary worker and a student social worker, but not as a registered social worker. So I wanted to find out, when can I expect my name to appear correctly as Ntladile Mushamunyani with my registration number and a social worker, and not the previous ones?
Okay.
Thank you, Ntladile. Acting Registrar, are you assisting?
Thanks, Program Director. One of the issues that we need to address with the sector is that we are experiencing challenges with the online registration system. So Council wanted to introduce an online registration system which will be effective and efficient and hassle-free for social service professionals. So however, there are still gaps and areas that the service provider who's developing the system to address. And part of the challenges or gaps that needs to be addressed is that currently the system does not allow dual registration. So probably that could be the reason why your registration status has not been updated. So we've raised this matter with the service provider to attend to it, so that everyone who qualifies for what we call dual registration or needs to be migrated from a particular registration to another registration level, or to maintain two registrations at the same time to be upgraded as such. But in your case, if I had you, is that you registered as a social worker last year. However, your status still says student social worker and social auxiliary worker. So that one, I think, it's an administrative issue that needs to be attended, and I kindly request that you post your particulars in the WhatsApp, in the chat bar, so that the colleagues in the registrations division, they can pick it up and go to the system and see how they can assist you. I'll kindly request that you also share with you, if you feel comfortable, your contact number so that they can contact you. Or in the meantime, I'll kindly request also May Caroline Chabalala to please post your email address in the chat bar, so that colleagues who are having a registration and a practice card related issues, they can also inquire with you directly. Those who do not feel comfortable to share any further personal details, including the cell phone numbers. So May Gadile, your matter you should be attended to as well. Today, I think it's just an administrative issue that needs to be attended to. Thanks.
Thank you, Acting Registrar. I hope Mendladile heard your response regarding her question. I still see the hand of Mr. Raymond. I'm not sure if it's an old hand or he would like to continue to ask a question. Mr. Raymond, can you clarify that hand? I would take it that it is an old hand. Is there anyone else who would like to pose a question? Just a comment regarding the presentation, or any query that you might have regarding SACSSP? We are opening for you to indicate to us how can we be of assistance to you. I'm checking also on the chat bar. There is no question as yet. And Ladile, thank you for jotting down your details on there. We can see, and Ms. Shabalala will also display her email address shortly, so that you can be helped in your question. Anyone else who would like to ask SSPs in Mpumalanga? Let's engage. Mpumalanga SSPs. Any question? Oh. I think we should continue with our program if there's no hand or a message on the chat bar. Acting Registrar, can I continue with the program, or should we wait a bit for Mpumalanga SSPs to raise their questions?
Thanks, Program Director. I want to believe that the sector is clarified and well-resourced and empowered in terms of the presentation or the information that we wanted to share with them. So I'll propose that we move to the next item on the program. Thanks.
Thank you, Acting Registrar. I think we are on item number 7. the presentation of resolutions and way forward. Now, the registrar indicated that the presentation was clearly outlined as well, and I hope all the SSP got the gist on what the council is all about, and you got a better understanding on what is expected from you as an SSPs, and hopefully you will implement the information on what you received from this presentation, particularly on fees payable thereof. And it was also indicated that the annual fee is payable on or before the 1st of January of every year. So going forward, colleagues, SSPs, we are expected to pay our annual fee from the 1st of January of every year. Make sure that you pay your annual fee right on time so that the finance division can be able to assist in issuing your practice card on time as well. I believe we are almost towards the end of our program. Can we just give yourselves a round of applause as Mpumalanga SSPs? Can I see the hands? Can I see the hands? Just give us a round of applause for your attendance and for making sure that thank you so much, and for also all the presenters that presented today in this program. We would like to appreciate you, and we thank you, and we're also giving you a round of applause. Thank you so much. And just before we close off, I would like to welcome Mr. Muridili for vote of thanks. Can he come and take the stand right now? Thank you. Mr. Muridili, our Vice President, we're giving the program to you now. It's your turn to do the vote of thanks. Are you in the meeting?
Yes, I am here. I'm trying to switch on my video, so I'm not sure if I'm disabled on your side. Okay, no, thank you so much to the members of council, professional boards, acting registrar, the deputy chair of the professional board. My name is Muridili. I'm the deputy president of the 5th South African Council for Social Service Profession. Together with the president, we were acknowledge and appreciate all the social service professionals for their unwavering commitment to the social service profession. As the 5th council, we have taken over the South African Council for Social Service Profession Council, marred by quite a number of challenges faced by the social service professionals in respect to their respective work spaces, and also access to the services provided by council. I would like to emphasize that the services that obviously was presented on doesn't require any professional to travel from their respective location to Pretoria. So all those services can be requested and processed whenever or wherever the professionals are. We are also looking at cutting down on turnaround times of almost all the services at the council, such as registration, practice cards issuance, conduct or status certificates, and also other services that the professionals will require from time to time. As the 5th Council, we've made a commitment to the social service professionals that during our tenure, indeed, things will never be the same. And as a result, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, the program director, the acting registrar, and also the executive team at Council for the commitment and hard work that you are giving out to our professionals out there. I would like to acknowledge the professional boards for safeguarding our respective profession, and also to you guys, the social service professionals. I want to encourage you to keep up the good work under the circumstances. I know that at the ground level, things are actually different from how you would expected them to be. But on the side of Council, we will always strive to meet the practitioners halfway, in that we are simply in existence to serve the professionals. The mission of the South African Council for Social Service profession is more to serve the best interest of the social service practitioners, professions, and also the service user, but nothing else. And that is what we are committed to achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you've got anything that has to do with Council, feel free to reach out to us, because we are here for you. So to all guys present here, to the team, congratulations for the well done work. Thank you so much, team. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President, Mr. Muridili. And thank you again to everyone. I think we've come to the end of our session today. Thank you all for your participation as well. We're still getting some people trying to come in this webinar, and we are done. But thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful week ahead, and God bless. Thanks. Bye, everyone. You are free to leave. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.